Three, two, and it's loading up. And we are live.
Hello, everyone. I want to welcome everybody to this event, South Carolina African American Tourism Conference event, where we're going to be looking at public investment in this sector called the African American tourism industry. We have with us today a member of City Council in Hilton Head that has done an outstanding job. And right now, we're going to introduce this outstanding council member, Courtney Young, with Foresight Communications, very closely in the Beaufort area with promoting African American tourism and developing this aspect of the niche. Courtney, introduce our fabulous guest.
I will. Thanks, Quadro. So I want to introduce to everyone a friend and a person I've known for a long time, Councilman Hilton Head, Island Town Councilman, Alex Brown. Alex is a lifelong Native Islander and community leader. Alex's family has been on Hilton Head. I made some notes. So his family has been on Hilton Head for 7 generations. For the past 30 years, he's made his career at Resort Retail Associates, where he is the vice president of operations. His drive and passion come from his tireless work that he's been doing to sustain the island as a beloved community. We are so happy to have him. His current sorry about that, guys. His current involvement, in addition to being a councilman, is being co-founder of the One Island, One Community annual 4th of July picnic, chairman of the IW Auburn Scholarship Committee, trustee and youth leader at Central Oak Grove Missionary Baptist Church, and assistant boys varsity basketball coach at Hilton Head High. His past commitments have included chairman of Hilton Head Island's Town Planning Commission, treasurer of the Martin Luther King Celebration Planning Committee, member of the Town of Hilton Head Island Vision Project Management Team, and chair of the Greater Island Council Vision Steering Committee. I could go on and on about Councilman Alex Brown, but I'll let you guys get to know him and all the great work and commitment he's had to maintaining the community and the culture on Hilton Head. So I'm gonna let you guys get right to it. Meet Alex Brown.
All right. Mr. Brown, Councilman Brown, it is a pleasure to meet you and to be with you on this session. I want to just jump right into it. And if I can ask you to tell us a little bit about African American tourism in Hilton Head. How is it represented? What do you guys have going on down there? And then we'll get into talking about the investment that was needed to make it happen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Okay. So before I offer up the answer to your question, Quadro, I'd kindly ask that you refer to me as Alec, which is the dialect of the Gullah for Alex. Okay.
How do you want me to say it?
Alec.
Alec. All right.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Many times I find myself being two people because when I'm out in the world, I'm Alex. And when I'm at home, I'm Alec. Okay. So for today, I want to be Alec. All right.
All right. I got you, brother. Alec.
All right. Fair enough. So yeah, Hilton Head is very unique when it comes to African American tourism. We all know that there's been a portion of the Southeast that has been commissioned as the Gullah Geechee Corridor. And Beaufort County, which Hilton Head lies within, is kind of dead smack in the middle of that corridor. So that's important to us here on Hilton Head. We've got many historical sites here on Hilton Head. In particular, one of the anchors that I'll mention at this point, which is Mitchellville, the first freedman town in America. And we're very proud of it. A story that is not just an African-American story, but an American story that has been untold and needs to be explored. It needs to be highlighted, and I think it will get us to a better place overall as a country, understanding some of the historical significance right here on Hilton Head.
That's what I'm saying. I've been following Mitchellville, and we've also actually had them featured as a panelist with the African American Tourism Conference. We were having them in person. A tremendous program. Tell me what were some of the how important was it to get local government and government buy-in to make that come to fruition? How important was that role?
Well, you start to go back 10, 15 years, and Mitchellville was just an idea, okay? And be quite frank with you, a lot of individuals that have grown up on Hilton Head, moved to Hilton Head, been here 3 or 4 decades, did not know that this story exists, right? And as you know, with any endeavor, you need capital, okay? So in this case, one of the first places that we approached for the capital was the local government. And what that does is once the local municipality gets behind a project of that nature, it makes it so much easier when you start approaching other folks, okay? So, town's on board. Next thing you know, the county's on board. We've got state legislators that are fighting for us to get funding. And now that we're going to start a capital campaign with the private sector, we're in a better position. So the local municipality being on board from the beginning has been so important. You're muted, Kwajoka. I can't hear you.
My bad. So what I'm saying is, so what you're saying is that getting the local government involved is important to help bring on other partners in an endeavor.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. So let me ask you this: what are some examples of Hilton Head's investment in cultural tourism sector, Mitchellville? What are some of the particular investments that you get?
Sure. Well, I'll start with saying we still got a long ways to go. Okay, and Mitchellville is definitely important because it's an anchor to a certain degree when it comes to economic development and cultural tourism, right? But there are many other African American cultural activities that are here on Hilton Head and throughout the Gullah Geechee corridor to that degree that should be recognized. So from our town's perspective, Mitchellville in particular, we own the land. We've negotiated a very favorable lease with the Mitchellville project to make sure that they're going to be operational. There's been funding there, of course, and the fact that our ATAX dollars that are collected, a portion of those are going back to this cultural tourism idea that, at least in my opinion, the African American piece of that is probably the most significant because there are not many places in the country or the world to that degree that can speak to slavery being over with before it was over with, right? So we got a special piece right here, and I think the funding that has gone behind it so far has been good, but we're just scratching the surface.
All right. Speaking of that, when you talk about ATAX, so ATAX is money that if you have a hotel in your region, then your local government is getting ATAXs from those hotel rooms. Those monies are designed to go back into the community for cultural or tourism-related programming. How important is it for local elected officials to have a sense of responsibility to make sure that those ATAX dollars, hospitality tax dollars, represent equitable inclusion of African Americans and their tourism interests? How important is it for local elected officials to really push that? Does it happen without them doing that?
The short answer is very important, right? But we've got to deal with the whole equity piece of it. And you know, that is challenging to some degree, you know, particularly in a resort area like Hilton Head. You know, our metrics for the most part are built around you know, heads and beds, and we're fortunate to have a very beautiful beach here on Hilton Head, right? So that's a big draw. So you know, understanding that the cultural tourism piece can, you know, be an economic driver, and it may look different than what we're accustomed to, sometimes makes it challenging. But it goes back to us having a better understanding of people. Okay, you know, the mere fact that African Americans are not only here, but have been here, you know, further back than the 1800s is important. Okay, and it's a dialogue and a discussion that needs to continue to happen. And I think no better way to have it happen with African Americans not only in existence in this area, but also in business in this area. Okay, so the investment again is money, but it's also an understanding and a respect factor in terms of how we sustain it.
Outstanding. So let me ask you, you talked about bringing others on board. What was some of the key talking points that you were able to use to really get the buy-in from other governments, like the county of Beaufort, to be involved in getting state elected officials? What were some of the talking points that you used to really get them to buy in?
Yeah, well, I'm going to back off of taking a whole lot of credit for it because it was a team effort. Okay, you know, a lot of folks in different capacity really worked to making Mitchellville, you know, important to not just the town but the county and state as well. You know, along with, you know, just the whole idea of cultural tourism being, you know, a big thing. But you know, the question you asked me, what talking points did I use? Well, let's face it. When you say the first freedmen's town in America, you can't replicate that. Okay, that it's only here. You can't pick it up and move it anyplace else. It's right here. Okay, so us recognizing that and, you know, taking advantage of it to a degree. Not just from an economic standpoint, from an educational standpoint, is very important. So it's somewhat easy to get folks to grab onto the history, particularly when you start using the word first, right?
Excellent. I know one of the things that we've been using is the economic impact study on African American tourism that we developed with USC a few years ago, and that is really the fact that, you know, about $2.4 billion is generated annually on African American tourism, and it's not even organized. There's no statewide promotional plan for it. There's no real focus on it from South Carolina PRT or from the local agencies outside of, you know, Hilton Head area to really focus on this niche. And this generating $2.4 billion, which is an increase from the last time that the study was done in 1997, when those numbers were like at $400 million. So from $400 million to $2.4 billion, and that's without a plan. What advice could you give your colleagues around the state who are watching this and would like to make the move? What kind of advice would you give, first steps type of advice that you would give them as they try to do something like a Mitchellville in their community?
Well, I'd like to first speak to the word gentrification, okay? And,
Speak to it, brother. Speak to it.
Many areas in South Carolina, particularly those that are closer to the coast, suffer from gentrification, right? And, we all know the motivating factors around that. And the biggest one is economics, right? So we have a grand opportunity here to slow gentrification, to be more inclusive, to be more equitable, if we are pouring resources into this whole African-American tourism industry. And by doing so, we will continue to live history and not just talk about history, right? If we can be generational with this intention, then we're in a better place. So that's why I'd offer to those that are in decision-making positions and those that can influence the longevity and the sustainability that deems itself as opportunity here is so grave. You can write a legacy very easily by getting behind this.
That's right, because it's economic development. And when you talk about, gentrification, it's a real estate business. And if we can, I've always said, I'm from Charleston, downtown Charleston. Matter of fact, that was my #1 issue when I was on city council there back in the day, was gentrification of downtown. And I always felt that if we could really bring attention to African-American tourism and develop that and grow that and share that story, that would be a natural enemy to gentrification.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
Because it would bring in capital, we would bring in, marketing and promotions as it relates to the cultural commodities that we have. And, then it would be harder for communities and cities to pass zoning laws that threaten the communities, right? Now,
Sure.
to pass certain bondings and issues that government passed to help leverage gentrification and help, be a catalyst for gentrification. It would stop some of that stuff, right? Because people see the value in preserving that history.
Absolutely.
So absolutely, and it's not just the coast, man. I'm in Greenville right now, and we're experiencing gentrification. I'm running the race of a woman named Lillian Brock Fleming, city councilwoman here, and that's one reason she's running again, is because they're building this big Unity Park and they're talking about it for everybody. But when you see all the multi-family apartment buildings being built in and around that vicinity, and the price point of those properties and the community that is being displaced by that, it's the oldest African American historic community, southern side in Greenville, and it's being gentrified. But if that history could be promoted and talked about, and if we could identify, spots and develop infrastructure and develop products to help promote that and develop that, we could stave off gentrification. I think that is a hell of a point that will definitely hit the ears of a lot of local elected officials and state elected officials who are battling gentrification and investment into these low-income communities. So great stuff, man. Great stuff. I really want to thank you guys and commend you on the work that you're doing, council member. What last words would you like to provide for our audience out here as and just growing and developing this tourism industry? What do you see on the horizon for African American tourism in Mitchellville and South Carolina?
Well, I'll first speak to some of our own success here on Hilton Head. Being named the #1 tourist destination in the continental U.S. I don't know, like 5 years in a row or something now, right? So kudos to that. But I'd also say that in order to keep up and to continue that type of that success, we have to look outside of the box to a degree, okay? And too often when we don't know something, we get uncomfortable and we don't necessarily grasp it and embrace it to the degree of something that we know, all right? And because this whole cultural tourism and putting emphasis on African Americans could be new to some, it could be uncomfortable. But I would just offer up that, this world that we live in is made up of people that are different. And that's what makes us so important. It makes us so special, the fact that we are different. So if we can do a better job as a whole of just embracing that fact that we are different, and it's okay to go in a different direction that may benefit others that may not have benefited in the past, that's okay. That is okay. That's the whole sense behind being free and being a country of liberty. So I would just ask and encourage everyone to embrace that and set measurements for yourself in terms of what you are doing to better that situation. And I think we'll find ourselves in a better place.
Outstanding. Let's take responsibility in our own hands and
Sure.
make it happen. That's right. Self-determination. Let's not wait on anyone to do what we can do for ourselves. Outstanding. Thank you, Councilmember Alec. And
There we go.
that's dope, man. I wanted to wrap up with leaving everyone with some key findings from the economic impact study that we did, just to give you some information. Some of the key findings was that many of the sites, which is why it's so important that, and why I'm so proud of what you guys are doing in Mitchellville, is that many of the sites around the state are just not maintained and promoted. We found a lot of sites when we did the study, closed or with limited operating hours. There was little or no interpretation, and many of the sites were in need of repair and lack updated infrastructure and technology. So that is something that when we go to the state and we're talking about resources that is needed, these are some of the things that we're focusing on. We also found that there's a need for product development, accurate portrayal of history. We found that racial issues are still present to inhibit the growth and success of African American tourism. The perceived lack of support, lack of funding, and lack of promotion at the state level, local level is really real. People in the industry don't feel that the support is there. And I'll tell you with conversations, a lot of the state elected officials are not informed. And so we've been making it our job to make sure that they have the study and that they read the study. We're planning to go up there and to have a day where, as other industries do, we want to go up there a day with all of our team and other interests around the state that are in African American history and go and promote it and talk about it and let people see the value of it. That's the only way that we can get our story heard, is by going out and pushing it for ourselves. And so in that regard, there's a need for collaboration between organizations. It shouldn't just be my organization or Mitchellville going to the General Assembly. It should be us as a collaboration going up there and really pushing this message, getting the people from PD, having different parts of the state will get the momentum going to get something passed that would benefit everyone in the state. And so but there were some good things that came out of it. As I said before, $2.4 billion economic impact that we found. We found that African Americans, that it's associated with 26,300 jobs in South Carolina, and it produces $789 million in neighborhood income. If we were to increase African American visitors in South Carolina by just 5%, it would be an extra $118 million in economic impact. And so these are the numbers that when I go to the General Assembly and I go around and I'm pushing it, these are some of the talking points, if you will, that I'm using to really get people to focus in. People listen to $2.4 billion and they listen to 26,000 jobs, right? And they listen to $118 million increase with just a 5% increase in wages. So, and that's just African Americans. That doesn't the mainstream listeners that would be interested in our history and culture. I tell people all the time, Gullah Tours down in Charleston, you know, when his tours come on the east side, it's about 50% Black, 50% white. So there are dollars everywhere to be spent that are interested, that people are interested in that history, that are interested in that culture. And so we've got to make sure that it's working for us and not against us. And so so those are my final comments and words. Mr. Brown, thank you again. I'm going to let you close out with any final thoughts, and then I'll bring Courtney in, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Sure. Well, thank you. And statistics always help to not just tell the story, but prop the story up. So I appreciate those. Right. You know, I thank you guys for having me on, and in an attempt not to leave anybody out here locally. As I mentioned before, you know, we've got a lot of great people that are pushing for cultural tourism, and we've got some great examples. You know, like I said, not just Mitchellville. We've got Gullah Museum. We've got our own Gullah Tours here. Also, the NIPCA organization has been responsible for a Gullah celebration that's been going on for a quarter of a century now. Okay, the whole month of February, they're putting on events like this one, and you know, some of the newbies on the ground, Low Country Gullah, which is a marketing organization that's trying to shed light on these cultural opportunities that African Americans are exploring. So this is a lot of people that are doing a lot of things that need a lot of help, right?
That's right.
We're going in the right direction. We're chipping away at it. And I'm more than proud and blessed to have the opportunity to help push the needle here. And again, I thank you all for having me.
All right, well, thank you. I want to thank everybody who joined us this afternoon for this fireside chat conversation about investing in African-American tourism. It is a way to bring capital into our communities as we work to make them self-sufficient and less dependent, and so that it can grow, and grow economically, right along with the rest of the state. So we are proud to be with you, Brother Alec Brown, and Sister Courtney. Do you have any words you'd like to close us out with?
No, I just really, again, want to echo your thanks to Alec Brown, my friend, and I'm so proud to have him as a councilman representing the good work that is happening on Hilton Head, and more importantly, being able to share with the world all the good things that are happening on Hilton Head. As he said, there's still so much to be done and so far to go, but Hilton Head is they're at least they got their feet in the right direction to get there. And to his point about the Gullah celebration, 25 years is a long time. That's a long time to have a partnership with the municipality that is committed to doing what they can. And there's always room for growth. So thank you both again. So happy to have you join us, Alex, and Quadros. Always good to see you.
All right, y'all take care.
All right. Bye.